I lost my daughter before I ever even met her, and the moment I finally held her, everything I thought I knew about love shattered. Those words haunt Michael Carter every day. Beneath his polished facade as a billionaire tech mogul lies a man drowning in regret, pain, and a desperate hope for redemption. The guilt of abandoning the little girl he never knew he had has consumed him for 5 long years, carving deep wounds in his soul. But what happened next, the unexpected reunion that ripped his carefully built life apart, will shock you to your core. It's a story of heartbreak and hope, betrayal and forgiveness, a relentless battle between fear and courage. Stay with us, because in the next moments you'll witness a secret unveiled that changes everything. One father's journey to reclaim the daughter he lost, and a truth that no amount of money or power can erase. Michael Carter had everything the world could offer: immense wealth, a penthouse apartment in Manhattan with sweeping views of the city skyline, and a reputation as a titan in the tech industry. Yet beneath the polished surface and tailored suits, there was a secret weighing down his heart, one he had buried deep for 5 long years. Today he was about to face it. It was a crisp March morning. Michael stood in front of the full-length mirror of his penthouse, adjusting his silk tie with a practiced hand, but his green eyes betrayed a storm within. The reflection staring back was that of a powerful man, but Michael could see beyond the veneer a man haunted by cowardice, regret, and a past he couldn't run from. His assistant David appeared quietly, clipboard in hand. "Michael, the car is downstairs. The visit to St. Anne's Children's Home is scheduled for 11 a.m. The media will be there to cover your donation." Michael nodded without enthusiasm. $2 million. A public relations move, his team insisted, but he knew it was much more complicated than that. He remembered the night 5 years ago, the night that shattered everything. At 37, he was at the pinnacle of his career, a bachelor with a fortune most only dreamed of. But everything changed when Emily Johnson, the young woman who cleaned his offices and was studying to be a teacher, told him she was pregnant. He had found her one evening immersed in a worn economics textbook in his private library, her face flushed with embarrassment when he walked in. Their conversations had sparked something real, something beyond the cold barriers of class and wealth. Emily was unlike anyone he'd ever met, genuine, selfless, and fiercely determined to build a better life for her family. But the news of the pregnancy hit Michael like a freight train. Fear seized him. The IPO was looming. The press was already sniffing around. How would he explain this? The daughter of his cleaning lady, his perfect world, was unraveling. His response was the worst kind of cowardice. He asked for time. He lied, and then he disappeared. He changed schedules so Emily would no longer come to clean the offices. He blocked her number. He buried himself in work, hoping to forget the burden gnawing at his soul. Months later, he learned Emily had given birth to a daughter, a girl named Sophie, his daughter, his blood. But he refused to see her. When news came that Emily was gravely ill and required expensive treatment, he sent money anonymously, watching from afar as she struggled to care for Sophie. Then the unthinkable happened. Emily passed away, leaving Sophie an orphan cared for by an aging grandmother who could no longer provide. Sophie was placed in St. Anne's. Michael's heart cracked that night. For the first time, he drank heavy, uncontrollable tears, accompanying the bottle as guilt crushed him. He had destroyed not only Emily's life, but also that of his own daughter. Today was supposed to be just another donation event. But as he stepped off the sleek black car onto the modest grounds of St. Anne's, a tremor of fear gripped him. Cameras flashed. Reporters murmured. Children played innocently in the garden, unaware of the storm about to erupt. Inside the hall, 30 children dressed in their best lined up, eyes bright but wary. And then Michael saw her, Sophie, a small girl of 5 with light brown hair that shimmered under the fluorescent lights and striking green eyes that mirrored his own. She clutched a worn teddy bear, tightly shy and fragile. His breath caught. As the children sang a welcoming song, Michael tried to focus, but his gaze remained fixed on Sophie. When it was his turn to greet the children, his heart pounded. Finally, he knelt before Sophie and asked softly, "What's your name?" Her eyes locked with his, piercing and full of an intelligence that stunned him. "Sophie," she said simply. "How do you know your name?" He whispered, the words choking him. Sophie blinked, confused. "Emily told me," she said. Michael's world spun. Emily, the woman he abandoned, had named their daughter after a character from Jane Austen, a testament to her love of classic literature. Sophie's voice trembled as she asked, "Did you know my mommy?" His chest tightened. The room fell into an eerie silence broken only by Sophie dropping her teddy bear and stepping forward arms wide. Then, with the clarity of a child who somehow understood everything, she shouted, "Daddy." The hall froze. Cameras captured every second. Reporters exchanged bewildered glances. Sister Mary, the matron of St. Anne's, paled trying to regain control. But Sophie clung to Michael as if he were her only anchor. "I knew you would come," Sophie whispered into his ear. "I always knew you would come find me." In that instant, Michael's carefully constructed life shattered. The press exploded with questions. The media frenzy was immediate and merciless. David's frantic voice pierced through the chaos. "Michael, we need to manage this now." But Michael couldn't move. He held his daughter, feeling the tremble of her small body against his chest, overwhelmed by years of regret and a flicker of hope. Sophie's words cut deeper than any headline. "You have my eyes, and when I saw your picture in the papers, my heart raced like I'd been running. My mommy said you were kind and would love me." And just like that, the man who once fled from responsibility was forced to confront the most profound choice of his life, between his empire, his reputation, and the daughter he had never known. We're pausing here right at the moment Michael's world is irrevocably changed. What do you think Michael's next move should be? Will he embrace the chance to be a father or retreat into the shadows of his old life? If this story moved you, please give this video a like and drop a heart below. It means the world to us to share stories like Michael and Sophie's. Stay tuned for the next part where the real battle begins. The moment Michael held Sophie in his arms, he felt a seismic shift in his world. The walls he had built of denial, fear, and avoidance crumbled instantly. Yet beneath the rush of hope was an undercurrent of dread, an unmistakable whisper that this newfound bond would not come without a fight. Returning to his penthouse, Michael was flooded with emotions he had long suppressed: joy, guilt, anxiety. The questions clawed at him relentlessly. How could he make up for lost years? Would Sophie ever forgive him? And most terrifying of all, could he really be the father she deserved? No sooner had the initial shock faded than a storm erupted. Within days, a woman named Rachel Simmons appeared on Michael's doorstep with legal papers that shook the fragile ground beneath his feet. Claiming to be Emily's older sister, Rachel asserted that Sophie belonged with her, that she could provide the stable maternal home that Michael, with his busy life and history of abandonment, could not. Michael's world tilted again. The woman who now stood between him and Sophie was not just a stranger, she was a judge, jury, and adversary. Rachel's case was formidable. She had spent a decade working in child welfare, presenting herself as the perfect guardian. The media, already hungry for scandal, latched onto the story with voracious enthusiasm. The courtroom was suffocating. Michael sat rigid, every nerve on edge, as his lawyer, James Reynolds, laid out the facts. The past mistakes were undeniable, but Michael was no longer the man who had fled. Months of devoted care had transformed Sophie from a fragile, cautious child into a bright, loving daughter. Therapy sessions with Dr. Elizabeth Martin showed remarkable progress. Sophie blossomed and their bond was genuine. Rachel's attorney painted a different picture. He portrayed Michael as a man of wealth but little substance, too consumed by business to nurture a child's needs. His abandonment was held as proof he was unfit, that Sophie needed a mother's touch, not a millionaire's paycheck. The trial's emotional apex came unexpectedly when Sophie was called to testify. At 5 years old, standing before the judge in a packed courtroom, Sophie's voice was steady but filled with profound honesty beyond her years. "I love my daddy," she said simply. "He makes me feel safe. He reads me stories even if he's not a good singer. He hugs me when I'm scared. He listens." Her words cut through the tension like a lighthouse beam through fog. The judge's eyes softened as Sophie spoke about the warmth and laughter filling her new home, contrasting it with Rachel's clinical, distant demeanor. Sophie described Rachel not as family, but as someone who treated her like a case, a problem to solve rather than a child to love. Behind the scenes, Michael's legal team uncovered damaging information. Rachel Simmons was not Emily's sister, but a distant cousin with a troubled past, including being dismissed from her social work position for negligence. Her sudden emergence and aggressive claim on Sophie raised suspicions of ulterior motives. The courtroom drama unfolded like a thriller. Testimonies clashed, evidence surfaced, and emotions roared. Michael's anxiety morphed into fierce determination. Every time he glanced at Sophie with her brave little face and sparkling eyes, his resolve hardened. Yet the stakes were higher than custody. This was about redemption, about proving he was worthy not just to the court, but to his daughter. Michael's mind replayed the darkest moments of his flight from responsibility, the nights alone drowning in regret, the missed birthdays, first steps, and whispered bedtime stories he never gave. Now standing on the precipice of losing Sophie again, he wrestled with the crushing fear of failure. The public watched with bated breath, the press painting every twist as a battle between the heartless mogul and the virtuous caretaker. But Michael knew the truth was more complex: a man broken, but rebuilding, a child yearning for love, and a family forged in the fires of pain and hope. As the trial neared its climax, a quiet moment shattered the courtroom tension. Sophie asked why she wanted to stay with Michael, answered with unexpected maturity, "Because he loves me. Not because he's perfect, but because he tries. He listens. And when I'm with him, I'm not afraid." Her words were a verdict of their own. The day the judge delivered his ruling, the courtroom was heavy with anticipation. Rachel's confident demeanor faltered as the decision was read: full custody granted to Michael Carter. Moreover, allegations of perjury against Rachel surfaced, leaving her case in ruins. Michael's relief was overwhelming, but it was Sophie's radiant smile that truly marked the victory. For the first time in years, father and daughter walked out of that courtroom, united, their future unwritten, but theirs to shape. But as the cameras flashed and questions flew, Michael knew the battle was just beginning. There were healing to be done, trust to rebuild, and a life to live, not defined by wealth or scandal, but by love. We pause here as Michael steps into the most challenging chapter, yet proving every day that love and commitment can overcome even the deepest scars. What would you do if you were Michael? Would you fight with everything you had for a second chance? Or would the fear of the past hold you back? If this story touched you, please show your support by liking the video and leaving a heart below. Your encouragement fuels the telling of stories that matter. Stay with us for the next chapter. Michael Carter's life had changed in ways he never could have imagined. From the moment he first held Sophie, the little girl who called him Dad, in a crowded hall at St. Anne's Children's Home, his world shifted from cold isolation to one of tentative hope and overwhelming responsibility. But the path to becoming the father Sophie deserved was far from easy. It was a journey filled with self-discovery, struggle, and ultimately healing. His sleek Manhattan penthouse, once a symbol of business success and solitude, was now alive with the bright colors and joyful noise of childhood. Michael had transformed the sterile space into a warm home where Sophie could feel safe and loved. Her bedroom, once just a room on a blueprint, was now a magical place. Walls painted soft lavender, a castle-shaped bed draped with fairy lights, shelves filled with books and stuffed animals, and a window overlooking the city skyline where Sophie would often sit, dreaming of adventures beyond. But beyond the physical transformation, Michael grappled daily with his inner demons. The guilt of abandonment weighed heavily on him. Each day was a battle to prove to Sophie and to himself that he was worthy of her love and trust. No amount of money could erase the years lost, the milestones missed, or the silence between them. Every morning began with the simple ritual of waking Sophie, brushing her hair, and sitting down together over breakfast. These moments, small and ordinary, were laden with meaning. Michael listened to Sophie's stories about school, her fears, and the dreams she was beginning to nurture. He learned that parenting was not just about providing, but about presence, about showing up fully even when it was hard. Therapy sessions with Dr. Elizabeth Martin, a gentle and wise child psychologist, became essential. Sophie was still healing from years of uncertainty and loss. She sometimes recoiled at sudden noises or unexpected touches, remnants of a childhood marked by instability. Michael attended the sessions with her, confronting his own vulnerabilities and learning how to support her in ways beyond material comfort. One afternoon, while helping Sophie with her homework, she surprised him with a question that stopped him cold. "Dad, do you think we could help more kids like me? Kids who don't have families." Her words, innocent but profound, opened a new chapter in their lives. Michael felt a swelling pride and a deeper sense of purpose. Together they visited St. Anne's again, not as visitors or donors, but as a family reaching out to welcome other children into their lives. The penthouse soon echoed with more laughter, more footsteps, and the hum of growing bonds. Michael and Sophie began the process of fostering and adopting other children from St. Anne's. It was a challenging transition, more mouths to feed more hearts to mend, and an ever more delicate balancing act with Michael's demanding career. But the rewards were immeasurable. Children who had once felt invisible found homes filled with warmth and acceptance. Sophie blossomed into a nurturing older sister, guiding and protecting her siblings with a maturity beyond her years. She understood the pain of loss and the joy of belonging. Watching her grow into this role filled Michael with awe and reinforced his commitment to his new family. Yet the shadow of the past lingered. Michael carried the weight of Emily's memory, tenderly honoring her through stories told softly at bedtime and in a small rooftop garden planted with white flowers, Emily's favorite color, where Sophie often sat in quiet reflection. It was a sacred space that connected them to the woman whose love had sparked this family into being. The process of healing was neither linear nor easy. There were days when Sophie would retreat into silence, haunted by fears she couldn't yet voice. Michael often found himself awake at night wrestling with doubts. Was he enough? Could he make up for lost time? Was this family truly whole? One chilly autumn evening, as they sat watching the city lights flicker below, Sophie broke the silence. "Dad," she said, "do you think Mom is proud of us?" Michael's throat tightened. He pulled her close and whispered, "More than proud. She's here with us in every hug, every laugh, every step." Together they dreamed of the future, a future where no child would have to feel alone or unwanted. Michael spearheaded a project to build a new school adjacent to St. Anne's, a place where children from all walks could learn, grow, and dream without limits. It was his way of giving back, of creating a legacy of hope. Through the years, Michael learned that true success wasn't measured in dollars or deals, but in the smiles of children who knew they were loved. His empire could wait. This was his most important work. Now, with a house full of children and a heart fuller than ever, Michael found peace, not perfection. The scars of the past remained, but they no longer defined him or his family. Instead, they were woven into a tapestry of resilience, forgiveness, and unconditional love. As Sophie's voice grew stronger and her laughter brighter, Michael knew their story was far from over. It was a story of second chances, of healing broken bonds, and of the power of love to transform lives. We want to hear from you. If you were Michael, how would you approach healing a fractured relationship with a child? What does family mean to you when past mistakes threaten to pull you apart? Please share your thoughts below. If this story moved you deeply, comment Nona 3. If you think it could be better or needs more, comment number 1. If you feel it was just okay, comment number 2. Also, tell us where you're watching from. Don't forget to like, share, and spread this story. Your support means everything to us as we share these journeys of hope and transformation.